Hi you guys, my name is Ruben, and I'm the second affirmative constructive speaker. I will be talking to you or refuting to you about Renzo's claims and a little bit of rebutting. When Renzo says about the fracking being good because it's 90% water and just a little bit percent of other chemicals, when fracking, there are fracturing fluids that have potential and they do serious harm. Elizabeth Roy wrote an article in 2012 about fracking. Methane gas contamination in drinking water was 17 times higher near fracking sites. Theo Coburn, an environmental health analysis and former director of the World Wildlife Fund's Wildlife and Contaminants Program, identified 632 chemicals in the millions of gallons of fracking fluid, which were containing 25% linked with cancer and mutations. 37% of it could affect hormones. 40 to 50% could affect kidneys and nervous, immune, and cardiovascular systems. And in total, more than 75% affect sensory organs and respiratory and gastrointestinal systems. And to get further information, when they frack diesel, they have highly toxic chemicals, one of which is benzene, a known carcinogen. Even very small concentrations of benzene can contaminate water supplies. If benzene and other toxic chemicals seep into a community's water, that's a serious and possibly irreparable problem. The Congress recognized diesel's extraordinary dangers back in 2005 when it was passed in the Federal Energy Policy Act. It exempted most oil and gas hydraulic drilling and fracturing from the Safe Drinking Water Act, but not fracking with diesel. In May 2012, the Environmental Protection Agency, known as EPA, completed a document called Permitting Guidance, which aimed to help state regulators understand which fracking operations required permits under the 2005 Safe Drinking Water Act exemption. During that time, a lot of people were fracturing illegally, and until 2013 of this September, the agency sent its permitting guidance to the White House Office of Management and Budget for approval. Once EPA's guidance is used, state regulators can use it to set up better ways to protect the public water supply by monitoring and restricting diesel and fracking operations. Henry Waxman, EWG, which is an environmental working group, he's a representative, and he says without sufficient protection, rivers, lakes, and public water supplies could be polluted, people could be harmed, and livestock and wildlife could sicken and die, revealing the true cost of obtaining this so-called cheap energy. And to move on to the next part, when Renzo mentions about the mini earthquakes that fracturing could have, there's actually been a recent event that happened in I believe it was Ohio. Hydraulic fracturing. It came out in a news report in NBC News in September 5th, 2013, and there was an earthquake over there due to fracking, and all the people said that earthquakes over there rarely happen, and that once they found out it was about fracturing, it was kind of a big deal, I guess. Dan Jacobson, legislative director for Environment California, says just in case Governor Brown needed any more evidence that fracking is bad for California, this should be the ultimate wake-up call. He also says, fracking is a dirty and dangerous business. It uses copious amounts of water we just can't spare, and contaminates it. It pollutes our air, it destroys our beautiful places, and it keeps us addicted to fossil fuels at the exact time we need to move toward clean energy. At this time, Governor Brown put a moratorium, which is like a temporarily prohibition on fracking until they figure this whole thing out, I guess. This happened because this led because 20 of the nation's top climate scientists have sent a letter to Governor Jerry Brown telling him that his plans supporting increased use of the controversial practice of hydraulic fracturing will increase pollution and run counter to his efforts to cut California's global warming emissions. The letter is pretty much the latest example of the increased pressure that environmentalists and others concerned about climate change have been putting on Brown in recent months. Ken Caldeira, an atmospheric scientist at the Carnegie Institution of Science at Stanford University, says if what we're trying to do is stop using the sky as a wasted dump for our carbon pollution, and if we're trying to transform our energy system, the way to do that is not by expanding our fossil fuel infrastructure. And that's pretty much it for this first part.